Who should be the Jags starting quarterback? Blake Bortles, Chad Henne, Colin Kaepernick.
How do you vote, sir?
I think Chad Henne is the safe choice right now. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you watch their first two preseason games and look at how Blake looks running the offense versus how Chad Henne looks running the offense, I think Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone could be okay with Chad Henne running the offense because, again, I think this year is about evaluation for them and figuring out where they are and figuring out what they have in Cam Robinson and Leonard Fournette and Allen Robinson and all of those guys. The high-end potential, though, if you want the higher ceiling, it's Colin Kaepernick. I mean, it's just like I think there, and we said this a second ago, the infrastructure's there. I mean, Doug Marrone and Nathaniel Hackett ran in Buffalo for E.J. Manuel, read option elements, and so you can add those elements into the offense very easily. They're already there for him, and he creates a different kind of threat on a week-to-week basis. So if you're looking to tread water this year, the answer is Chad Henne. If you're looking, say, how can we create a threat? How can we do something a little different? How can we put ourselves in a position where, maybe in a weak division, maybe we're in it in December, then I think it's probably Cap.
That's not a weak division, though. I think the Titans and the
Texans are getting better.
The Texans are good teams, and I think the Titans are going to take a step forward and even throw their hat into a bye week ring this year. But how can they tread water or want to see what they have when they've already picked up the option for next year on Bortles?
Well, but this is like an RG3 situation.
But
that's part of it. The
RG3 situation to which you refer is they picked up his option before knowing that maybe he wasn't the quarterback of the future, and they just sat him to make sure he didn't get hurt.
And the logistics of this for the people out there who don't understand is that when you pick up that option, it's not fully guaranteed, but it is injury guaranteed. Right. And so if that player can't pass a physical in March,
you're on the hook.
Then you're on the hook for it. And that's $19 million they'd be on the hook for.
What in the world?
And so, that's the part of it where you look at it now, and look, if there was a glimmer that Blake was going to be the long-term answer there, I don't blame them for hanging on to him because you want to gather more information, right? The worst thing is you let him go, and then he goes and flourishes somewhere else. So I understand, Tom Coughlin came in, he hadn't really worked with the kid, right? Doug Marrone's the new head coach. You have to make that decision in May. You haven't seen him in OTAs yet. You haven't seen him in minicamp yet. You haven't seen him in training camp. So I understand wanting to gather more information. But now, if what we saw last night continues over the next 2 weeks, now you got to be protecting yourself. Now you got to be worried about being on the hook for that in 2018. And look, I think what's really interesting about this is Tom Coughlin loved Deshaun Watson. And that's what could haunt them here, is if Watson goes and becomes a star in Houston, and I think Leonard Fournette's going to be dynamite, but a running back's a running back. If Deshaun Watson winds up being what some people think he's going to be in Houston, Jacksonville could look at themselves 2-3 years down the line and be kicking themselves and saying, we hung on to Blake Bortles for an extra year. And if that caused us to pass on Watson.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you liked some of that, get some more of that on the Rich Eisen Show app. Follow all the information you see right here on the Rich Eisen Show.